I can go two ways, I guess, on this with what I want to start with. Should I go positive or negative? And the negative
I didn't
is
even
about
know
the Celtics.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't know there was negatives.
No.
He just holds things steady. Like he's not in there to take a huge lead or to cost the lead. He just holds the line. That's all we need, which I like that. I respect that. There's no reason to care. They had Spoelstra set talking about this playing the Celtics. It was like the biggest rivalry anywhere. And then you have Joe Mazzulla trotting out fucking Baylor Shireman in the first quarter. Just for the record, I would love if he played at least a Tatum role in one. I said once I saw that mixtape of him shooting all those threes, I'm like, where is that? Let's get that in the offense. Like,
Yeah,
let him do it. Just like imagine if it was just like for one game, and then it was like, and then they never spoke of it again. Like he never did.
Should've never sent him to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in a rush, they was all
right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It's Monday. It's December 2nd, and the Celtics kicked the shit out of the Heat. 108-89. This was a very strange game. A lot of people out on both sides of the floor. For the Celtics, no Drew, no Al, no KP. Saw all kinds of fantasy lineups out there. It was just an awesome experience. This is one of the more engaging games I feel like all season. I thought it was kind of going to be like a weird one to watch, but I actually was like out of my seat enjoying this like whole entire game. But yeah, to get the win 108-89, Chuddy, how you feeling after that game? Did you find that as interesting of the experience as I did?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really think of it as such an interesting experience, maybe. I think when both of the Jays are there, it just feels like pretty normal. But yeah, missing the three guys you mentioned, obviously missing both of our starters in the front court, and Hauser, too, who you didn't mention, was out for personal reasons. So it was different, but I mean, again, I think this is why we've seen the Celtics mess around with weird rotations, weird lineups all year, because then when you have to use them and it's not by choice, it doesn't seem as weird, I guess, to me at least. So you obviously thought it was more weird. I guess it's weird to look up and see Kornet and Walsh are starting, but it really, I don't know, it felt like business as usual. It is just kind of like a machine. You plug the parts in and they just do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, no, it's definitely like machine-like because I don't think that it really impacted the way the game went at all. I think the way everyone ended up playing. But yeah, I mean, it's Tatum, Pritchard, Peterson, Kata, Tillman was a lineup we saw at one point tonight. They were just I mean, I love the mixing and matching. I guess when I say weird, I don't mean as in a shocking way, just kind of it was just interesting. Like, you don't get to see a lot of these guys play, so then when they go out there and, some of them are having decent games. Peterson hit a few good shots, had a few plays. Walsh is just an absolute motor, just constantly running around.
Yep.
We even saw Shireman. So, yeah, Shireman was out there too. So we got a little bit of the Shire. He had an absolute dime to Jaylen Brown at one point in the corner. Like, great no look, yeah. So yeah, this was a really fun game. Even though things obviously it's an added bonus to beat the Heat. They didn't have Jimmy Butler, Richardson, and who else were they out? They had one other guy.
I mean, please,
not important.
Kevin
Jovic, yeah,
Kevin Love,
right.
Jovic, not moving with these guys.
So, but yeah, it was a fun game. Just to kind of both teams going up a back to back, not having every one of their players there made for an interesting night at least.
It did. It certainly did. And I mean, Butler missing for them is, I don't want to say the norm, but it's not exactly like a rarity that he's missing games. So it's not like that's some crazy thing. I can go two ways, I guess, on this with what I want to start with. Should I go positive or negative? And the negative is about the Celtics.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't know there was negatives.
No. It's more.
All right, well, let's go with the positives, I guess.
All right. Well, the positives, I mean, obviously we played pretty well for the most part. Not like amazing, but I thought, at least in spurts, you saw a really good Celtics team, especially considering the guys who were out. But gotta start, number one, we've obviously been talking about him all year, but Payton Pritchard at this point, like, any jokes or, like, there's no trolling, there's no nothing. This guy's moved well beyond even the bounds of, like, really good role player to the point of where it's, like, he's almost on the brink of, like, being a star. I mean, I'm not trying to be crazy here, but, like, seriously.
Like a Manu Ginobili.
Dude, it's unreal, and again, there's, like, nothing gimmicky about any of it, and it's not like he's just some crazy heater shooting threes. Like, he's beating guys off the dribble, he's getting in the lane, he's using his body and posting up, he's scoring in the half court,
left hand,
he's scoring in transition. and he's making catch and shoot threes. He's making threes off the dribble. He's making them from the parking lot. Like that move he had at the end of the third quarter to beat the buzzer, that step through. Like I think he must have picked that up from Jaylen recently. But it's like watching this guy play. It's getting to the point where I almost need to step outside of our bubble of like, because, you know, obviously we know Pritchard's good, but I feel like we've almost built him up as it started where it was more of like, I don't want to say a taco fall, but it was like when he went into the game, it certainly wasn't. No, that's extreme, but you know what I mean.
Oh, are you talking about like when he first was like...
Yeah, it was almost like a sideshow of like, bring in Pritchard. Yeah. But now it's like he's gone from beyond that to obviously cracking a spot in the rotation last year to getting this buzz for Sixth Man of the Year, which now he's should be dominating that award to the point of where it's like he's a legitimate star, and I'm out there comparing him to guys around the league in my head, and I'm like, I think I just would rather have Pritchard. And that's not even like factoring in the contract. I mean, I was watching the game and wondering, like, if you flipped Pritchard and Hero, I think the Heat would just be better, straight up. And that's like, that's like a crazy take. If you said that to people outside of Boston, and especially before this year, that would have been like insane. Like Hero, we make fun of him, but he's a good player who got a big contract of $30 million a year. He's their lead initiator, their go-to guy on offense. He puts up big numbers. And like, I straight up think Pritchard is just better suited for the job. So it's always going to be tough to judge him when he's on such a stacked team, but he's graduated way beyond the bounds of, again, even like he was like the victory cigar who would go in and polish off our 20-point wins. Now, I'm at the point of like, if we had Game 7 on the line tonight, like, how do you keep him off the court at the end of the game? Like, I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation for another day, but right now, like, if our season was on the line, who would you want on the court, Pritchard or Holiday? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the fact that it's even a question is like, people need to. Again, this isn't like get Pritchard to the sixth man, get Pritchard to like no, like he's just like a straight up budding borderline star, at least like a star role player at the very least. But it was just like dawning on me the whole game as I was watching. Like this guy is just a friggin' legit baller, and I think on most teams, he'd be like the second or third best player, and I think he could be like a lead creator on at least like a decent team. He's that good.
All right. I just stop and just soak in that like euphoric Payton Pritchard moment you must have had, and like I'm just picturing you just watching the A's and it's just all coming at you. If you remember, I said he was going to win Sixth Man of the Year before the season started, but now it is like it's totally no joke at all. I mean, the stuff he does do that play at the end of the third you mentioned, like you could see him after when they showed him on the camera, he was like this fucking guy can't guard me. Like he was pissed. And even like the notion that they were going to put that guy on him, they were saying that all broadcasts he was like chirping at Spoelstra, which is like so kind of crazy. Like Pritchard, you know, this guy Pritchard chirping like one of the most respected coaches in the league. It's absolutely hilarious, but he has every right to the way he's playing. I mean,
he just scores 20 points every game.
There's no way.
Team in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's on a pretty impressive heater.
He's a legitimate rebounder, as we keep mentioning. He's always going to be small, but he's a dog on defense. Like he's a lot better than a lot of guys who just play offense and are bigger than him. Like just from busting his ass. He had one play. It's crazy.
He had one play where he met Bam like at the half court, and like Bam kind of was like starting to go at him. He basically like led Bam to Kornet, and then when he tried to Bam tried to dish it off when he saw Kornet. Payton just stole the ball from the guy that he passed it to. So it's like just an absolute pass. You're right on every level. Like I was saying today, like he's quickly just like becoming like legendary status. Like Payton Pritchard jersey in Boston is like, that's fucking sick. Like if you have a Payton, like I feel like he's crazy. He's going up there. And it's just so funny because it's a team with so much star power. And then it's just like this embarrassment of riches where it's like, we also have this just like unreal guy coming off the bench who, like you said, I mean, that's an interesting conversation that will probably eventually be had about like end of games. I know, I mean, that's been an issue, I think, for us for like a few years back when we used to have like Brogdon, Marcus, and then Derek White was there too. It was like, who's going to be the guy on the floor at the end of games? So yeah, Pritchard has definitely brought himself in like any conversation of like any, you know, obviously not like top like 5-10 players in the league, but I'm not saying he's even that, but it's like, I'm not worried about him going against like anybody. It's crazy.
And he can carry lineups basically by himself. He can, on any given night, it's like he can step up and be the second star if guys are out or just having an off night, or not even. Some nights everyone's there and he's still rising above. Like you said, it's easy to get lost on this team where it's like all these stars and then him, but it's like he's quickly becoming one of the main stars like on the team on any. It seems right now he's as likely to go for 20 plus points as anyone on the whole team, and he's making highlight reel plays. He's doing it against everyone and anyone, and it really is just so crazy and like so amazing to see how good he already is. And it seems like he just keeps getting better. And I mean, we were kind of joking about like it's got to end, but I don't think it does. Like he's just a straight hooper. He just does this to anyone. It's absolutely crazy, and he really is like what an absolute weapon to just have this guy. I like that they're keeping him on the bench even on nights where he comes in and plays like more than a typical bench role. I just I think that's good for the rhythm and whatever.
Yeah,
and,
it's like a man. Like I said, it's kind of like a Manu Ginobili type situation.
Yeah,
I'm gonna push that comp. Yeah, so let's last 4 games: 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists tonight. 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists last night. 29, 7, and 7 against Chicago, and then he had 24 and 6 in the game against the Clippers. So that's just his last 4 games. I know they had some stat, Dick Light, but some stat where he's the first Celtic in forever to like have that kind of game, that kind of string of games off the bench. Pritchard's an absolute gamer. I mean, we could this whole episode could be about Payton Pritchard, but
I mean, it was just even like during the game when Drew and Scal were talking about him, and that Scal was just like, what happened to the days where there was like Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford? And I'm just like, that's him. Like Pritchard is those guys now. Like that's right there. He's right in front of you. I mean, shit, he might be better. Honestly, it's absolutely nuts, and it really is like hard to think of a situation where you wouldn't want him on the court. I mean, especially if we need offense. Like, how can you say he's not one of our 5 best offensive players right now? And there's nothing fluky or gimmicky about it. It's just crazy. And he's got it for everyone. So super fun to watch. Awesome. And honestly, like one of our best inside players too. That's the funniest part. Like he's just so good at using his body, so good at getting into the lane. He gets
around everything.
He can post up and finish even down low better than a lot of our bigs. It's absolutely nuts. What a player. I felt like we've obviously talked about him a lot, but just had to truly take a second to give him his flowers as he is in the middle of an absolute heater. And again, just nothing about it feels fluky. None of this has been like, oh my God, this is some crazy like run. It's just like, no, he's just going out there. I'm telling you,
when we saw that video of him just staying late for practice, doing one-on-ones with Jaylen, it's like, that's just when you know this guy wants it. This guy's different.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're lucky.
Yeah. Did you have any other? I'm sure you had some other positives. That was positive number 1.
No, that's one positive. The second positive, ever since like that obviously awful Heat series that we don't like to speak of, and everyone made fun of Jaylen, this and that. Like he has now just made it like his personal mission to absolutely destroy everyone on the Heat. It's so funny the way he comes out. I mean, he does it a lot, and it's not just the Heat, but there's definitely something about the Heat. He gets the ball and just attacks the shit out of them nonstop. It's so fun to watch. He just like takes his game to another level against the Heat. It seemed like he must have shot maybe double-digit free throws. It seemed like it could have been more. He had it all going. So cool to watch from a team that back in the day it almost felt like they were in his head. It's almost like the other way around. It's like he's the friggin' boogeyman for them. Some of it was attacking matchups, and then there was a couple plays where it was like Bam was literally on him, and he's just like mismatch, going right by you or right over you or drawing the foul. And they absolutely just couldn't stop him either. So again, that's obviously not surprising, but it's just kind of a funny twist where I was watching it now, and it's like that whatever the Heat had on him, maybe at some point, maybe in their heads, maybe not.
It's gone now, yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems like he has worked and like made it a mission of his that like, okay, I'm never going to have a bad game against this team again. So he was absolutely dominant tonight as well and just bullying them nonstop. So,
29 points. Not bad.
That was certainly exciting, obviously. And then also got to talk about Drew Peterson the second night in a row. And they said on the broadcast, kind of confirmed what we've talked about. And I had kind of hoped was the case, where they said like no one said anything. Joe didn't tell him he was going to play. He said he even like was like, Drew, you're in. And he thought he in his head, he's like, talking about Drew Holiday. And he's like, no. So I love that it sounds like it's exactly kind of what we've theorized, that he's just like trying to keep guys on their toes and like building these opportunities to throw them into chaos and just see how people respond. And like we keep saying, it's just guys respond so well. You mentioned Drew hit a couple shots. What do you have, like 7, 8 rebounds? It seemed like he was grabbing everything.
I think he had 7 rebounds, 7.7 rebounds.
Yeah, a few huge offensive rebounds. But I mean, again, you put him in there and he hit that one absolute backbreaker 3 off of offensive rebound that I think pushed it up to like over maybe 17 or something. That just felt like it was like an absolute dagger at some point in the third quarter. And I remember thinking, like, I know we had talked about it last night, how we kind of stole Hauser and now Peterson, but it seems like that's totally flipped. I was like, this is what the Heat used to do to us. Just find guys off the scrap heap where we'd be like, who the fuck is so-and-so, this asshole?
I'm
just
so glad we got
like,
this guy away from
finding him. And now it's like, yeah, we just plug in this Peterson guy, and it's like, he's doing it. And I'm sure they're Heat fans being like, who the fuck is Peterson? And how the fuck did they get him? And it's like, we're now doing that to them. It's like what they used to do to us, we're just doing them to them, and it's such a joy to watch. So Peterson was awesome. Yeah. And
it was a good revenge game for Peterson. You saw him sharpen the bench a little bit too, like sticking his tongue out at him.
Yeah, but he looks like he can play.
I do love the idea, like you were just saying about Joe just wanting to throw guys in. It's almost like I picture Joe as like a nature perspective, as like this is like when you watch like nature shows and the parents are like, all right, like we're gonna go out like hunting for the first time, and like there's like the one that like can't hunt, and then the family just leaves it, and you're like, wow, I came in. It's like, well, if that thing can't survive in this setting, then it has no business being out when things really get tough. When the pack is actually out hunting something crazy. So I feel like what he's kind of doing is like it's almost like, all right, let's see if when the bird leaves the nest here, is it going to be all the flying, get the job done or not? Because I need to know now. Because we're going into real hunting season, and we need to know that the pack can survive here. I keep comparing birds and wolves as the same thing, but I think they both are the same way.
It's a great analogy, and that is exactly what it feels like. Because it's like, we'll
go hunt a squirrel outside, and if you can't kill the squirrel, then I just know that, all right, dude, you're not ready for when we got to actually go take down like a buffalo or some shit.
Yeah, well, and it's if we ever do like really need Peterson, it's not going to be some planned out thing. It's probably going to be some tough situation. Maybe someone rolls an ankle, whatever. Like if we just need him out of nowhere, so it's like we're putting him in a situation where he's going to be ready. Like in reality, it's not going to be like, all right, Drew, like game 3 of this series, we're going to like unleash you as our secret weapon. Like so, get ready for that in your head. It's like it's going to come unexpectedly and like in a situation like that. So I just love that. It's like everything he does is preparing these guys for what's going to be needed later on. And
any eventuality.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I mean, he's rose to the challenge, played awesome. Another guy, we've obviously seen him do it, but shout out Luke Kornet with the 6 blocks.
6 blocks.
Just again is absolutely dominating. Again, like it's just crazy how we've become such like a physically imposing team over this Heat team that it seemed like used to do that to us. And it's like we're just pushing them around. Thought that one play kind of encapsulated the whole game when Hero tried to like ISO Luke and he kind of got by him, but he went for that reverse and Kornet was just on the other side of the rim, met the ball before it even left his hand, almost like palmed it like out of his hand. Yeah. Stuffed the shit out of Hero, pushed it up, Tatum hit a 3. I think that made it like 19, and that was, I mean, it felt like we had a bunch of daggers in this game, but that was another where it's just like, yeah, Jesus, like don't try that. So another example, and Luke, I feel like started the same way where we would throw him in and be like, whoa, like, they're putting in Luke Kornet right now, and now he's just like a solid rotation player. It's like we're seeing that kind of play out in real time now with Peterson, it feels like, where the first is like, the fuck is Peterson doing in the first quarter of the game? Like, that's what people were saying about Luke last year, and then by the end of the year, we're like, Luke's sick.
Yeah.
It's like cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson played 26 minutes tonight. I mean, that's a crazy amount of minutes. I think before yesterday, he had played like 30 total minutes. Right. So he almost plays his entire full load of minutes tonight. It's great.
And those were well-earned minutes, too. That's like he deserved to stay out there because he was playing really well on both ends.
Yeah. Wow, the Shire. The Shire got 11. That's so sick.
That is. And I love it.
He looked good, too. He looked good, too.
He absolutely. There wasn't really anyone who didn't look good tonight, so.
Is there anyone...
But I guess that leads now, if we want to go into the negative, I mean,
Wait, hold on. I have a question. Didn't last night I mention that Drew Peterson was a 0? He wasn't a plus or a minus?
Sounds right.
Tonight he was also a 0. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Seems also
he just holds things steady. Like he's not in there to take a huge lead or to cost a lead. He's just holding the line. That's all we need, which I like that. I respect that. It's like we might not gain points when I'm out there, but I can tell you right now, we won't. I'm not giving up an inch. Not an inch. All right, go ahead. What's the other negatives?
So to turn this into a negative, it was also occurring to me as watching this game that like bit of like whatever the Heat had and were for so long, I just think is like completely dead and fairy dust at this point. And I know they didn't have Butler tonight, but again, it's almost never really been about Butler. Like, you just look around these teams and like all those voodoo-ass guys they had, they're gone. Caleb Martin's not there. Gabe Vincent's not there. Max Strus isn't there. Whoever else I'm forgetting isn't there. They don't even have those old like tricksters like Kyle Lowry and even like Haslam on the bench. Like, those guys are just all gone. You look at this team now and this is just like a bad team straight up and down. And if it wasn't for like what our preconceived notions about them are, we would just look at this team and be like, this team is bad. Like, aging, maybe washed, sometimes plays. Jimmy Butler is maybe their best player, but he's completely unreliable at best. Bam Adebayo, who, again, we know he's one of the best defensive players in the league, but he really still hasn't developed to the point in offense that I ever thought he would. Like, he's a fine player.
Yeah.
He's not a number 2 option on a good offensive team. So that's Tyler Hero, who's now basically their go-to guy on offense. Like, I feel like if you just say that, someone's like, that's a lottery team. And then again, I just talked about all the role players who kind of made it happen. Those guys are gone. Now it's one-way guys like Duncan Robinson, Hayward Highsmith. I mean, Hawkes plays a ton, and if he didn't get 20 free throws, we would have beaten them by even more this game. But I mean, Hawkes isn't some future star. He's a guy they picked who was supposed to be ready to play because he's already about to be 24 years old. Like, he basically is what he is. I mean, there's nothing coming down the pipeline. Like, you look up and down their cap sheet, and I mean, the reason I kind of keep half mentioning Jimmy Butler as a trade target is because you look at this team, like, Butler has an option for next year. He's probably going to become a free agent. Bam's making like $40 million. Hero's making about $30 million. Rozier is making $25 million. That contract looks brutal. He has barely even noticed that he's out there for them. And you go up and down the list, and it's just like one of the most unimpressive rosters in the league, top to bottom. And so it's like, if Jimmy can't get back to playing like a top 5 guy in the league, like, I don't know how anyone can delude themselves into looking and being like, this is a contending roster. Like, this team stinks. And
I mean, and what you just said about Jimmy Butler, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like, isn't Jimmy Butler like 35 now? Like, I don't think he's just gonna suddenly, like, I think we're past that.
Well, right, but I'm saying, like, what else are Heat fans or even their front office like clinging to of like thinking that, if we just get everyone healthy, like, we're gonna be good? Like, no, you're not. Like, they don't have any good two-way players, and it's just crazy to watch. It's like, there's nothing. I mean, they were saying, like, is this even a rivalry? It's just such a shell of like a good team. We absolutely just like own them up and down the court.
Well,
I don't. Was supposed to be one of their best players. Tonight was about as much as you've seen the Joe's Orca Killer Whale offense, and Hero was the poor seal left on the friggin' iceberg.
Yeah,
and they were just taking their turns beating him to a pulp. And as I just mentioned, it seemed like that he used to be able to put out 5 guys who made us work on both ends, and now it's like they either have guys who are all offense and liabilities on defense, or solid defenders, but you can just basically don't even have to guard them on offense. And the roster moves, like I said, have just been very questionable at best. Like, trading Lowry in a first-round pick for Rozier already looks disastrous. Paying Hero that contract, disastrous. Robinson's contract, disastrous. And all these guys, they let go. The Caleb Martin situation, if you remember, he like sued his agent because he thought he had to deal with them, and then he ended up leaving. Like, they botched that. So like, I think, it's time to pay the piper. Like, whatever fear any Celtics fan might be holding on to, like, this is just not a good team. They're just not a good basketball team.
Yeah, I was sort of, as this game progressed, and again, I know they didn't have Jimmy Butler out there, but I don't think that he's what people think. He's more reputation, I think, at this point. Exactly. It was a little bit kind of like depressing because we're out there with like Baylor Shireman and Drew Peterson and just like dominating them. And obviously I know the Jays played too and stuff like that, but to me, it just didn't even feel like that was really what was winning this game anyway. It was like Jaylen obviously played great and all that, but it just kind of felt like to me that the Heat team was just, it isn't, I don't know. There's just nothing there. There's no pizzazz. There was nothing. Didn't feel. I didn't even feel like.
It feels like their Hero or Rozier has to basically go like nuclear for that. I mean, what did they score tonight? 80, 84
89
points. Like, and I felt the Celtics, like, our defense was good, but not great. It almost just felt like we were like toying with them and just turning it on in stretches. Like, I wouldn't say the Celtics played amazing tonight. They didn't play bad, but like, if we wanted to go out and play our best, like, there's no reason we shouldn't beat that team by, like, 50 points. Just completely overmatched in every facet, and I just don't know, like, where it comes from. Again, they're going to play well because they're well coached and they're going to be in the right places, and, if they have some nuclear shooting night, fine, but you can say that about any team in the league. Like, I mean, this, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm watching.
They stink. You're right. Yeah, they stink. Yeah, they like to put a bow on what you're talking about. Like, the Heat are dead. They're dead, and tonight kind of proved it too. There's just nothing. There's nothing left there. There's no reason to feel concerned. There's no reason to care. They had Spoelstra set talking about this playing the Celtics as if it was like the biggest rivalry anywhere, and then you have Joe Mazzulla trotting out fucking Baylor Shireman in the first quarter. So that tells you all you need to know about where the Heat stand on anyone's like pecking order of what to be worried about or what to fear. The Heat are dead. Dead. Someone clip this, they're dead.
And also, like you're saying about those guys, not only that, but it's like, I feel like all of those guys would be rotation players for them. Like, if they could get Peterson and Shireman, that would be like a huge. They could really use those guys in their rotation. Like, they would kill to have guys like that, and they just don't have them.
They had Peterson, and now we got him.
It was like kind of summed up the situation too to start the second half, because you're like, we were up 15, 60-45. It's like, all right, are the Heat going to make a run? They came out, we turned it over the first 4 possessions, and they made their first 4 shot. And it was like, oh, here we go again, like blah blah blah. I was like, no. 2 seconds later, we were back up by 16. The Celtics played like almost like dog shit for half of that quarter, and we stretched the lead from like 15 to 19. And we turned it over 7 times in like 6 minutes, and we extended the lead. It's like these guys got hot, and it doesn't even matter. So, I mean, what can you do?
Dead.
I hate to see it, but
love to see it.
It'll be very interesting again to see if they are able to kind of look themselves in the mirror and realize what's happening, and like if they can even get a good haul for Butler at this point. I think that's got to be the move. Like, if there's a team that thinks they're close and has a few good young players to the Heat, like, I would do that in a heartbeat if I was them. But
I'd be surprised they can get they'll probably get a couple second-round picks for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I don't know.
He stinks.
It'll be very interesting.
They're dead.
Yeah, good to see.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what else. I'm trying to think about the game. I think we covered a lot of the guys who I think really stepped up. I didn't realize that, and this is completely not really related to the game.
Okay.
But I didn't realize it's one missed free throw and everyone wins nuggets.
Yeah.
A single missed free throw in the fourth quarter? That's crazy.
I like the idea because I like that you want to get up for every free throw, but then it needs to keep going. So it's like if the guy missed the first free throw of the quarter, then it's like, all right, we have nothing to cheer for anymore. So it should be like, it has to keep going. Like, every missed free throw is 5 more free nuggets. So, like, no matter what, you never want to stop cheering. It's got to keep going. Because, like, otherwise, then it's like, all right, we have no start goal. We don't need to cheer anymore because we got the nuggets. It's like, no, it's got to be. No, it's got to be a per miss or something. Yeah,
per miss free throw.
Maximum cheering for nuggets on every free throw attempt. Ideally for the whole game.
Yeah, that's. I wonder. Yeah, I'd love to get if we got any guys who work in numbers out there that are listening. I'd love for someone to crunch if there's somebody giving away a free 20 piece after every time someone misses 4 or 5 free throws.
Yeah,
but
what about
one what does that bring back
per free throw starting at the beginning of the game?
Ooh, I like that one.
That's a good idea. Reasonable.
McDonald's, if you're listening too.
Yeah.
Could be onto something.
I think so.
Yeah, that could be serious sponsorship option.
Yeah, McDonald's employees will love us. 3.
Yeah, 4. Or even if it was the first one in the fourth is your free nugget. Your free 4-piece or 5-piece, whatever it is. And then everyone after that is just 1. So if they end up missing 4, then it's only 8 nuggets or something.
17 piece.
That's McDonald's problem to figure that out. Yeah, 17 piece. That's McDonald's issue to figure out. But I did think that was a little light. But I didn't think about the way you just said, where it kind of gets you up for every free throw. So I do now. I like it again.
That's what it should be. The motivation to earn nuggets should never stop until the game's over. So.
No.
All right. The only other thing, I had a couple notes somewhat related to the game. One, I don't know if I just noticed it tonight. You know how much I'm always paying attention to the ad reads and promos and commercials. But I noticed at the start of the fourth quarter, they have the Sullivan's Tire. Sorry to give the shout out, but Sullivan's Tire, like
It's always chill.
Road to Victory, and I just think it's such a funny promo because like half the game in the fourth quarter, they're probably like, "What do the Celtics need to do?" It's like, I think the score of that one was 85-63. I was like, literally, just like not like I don't even think they have to score. They could
just like what I would do is like, don't be dumbasses.
Yeah, it's like just a funny sponsor. Like, what do they need to do this game? It's like pretty much nothing at this point. I don't know. I don't know if they have to start doing that early.
They might need to move up They might need to move that up to the start of the half,
right? Or at the beginning of the game. Like I don't know. It's a tough spot for sure. Yeah. Some of these games. And then the other thing, I feel like this used to be an old issue with the Celtics, but I found myself towards the end a few times checking the bench, checking the score, checking the time, and being like, why are these guys still in the game? I thought Payton and White especially were out there till there was like 2.5 minutes left. We're up by like 25. It's like, what the hell are we doing? We got 5 games in 7 nights. We got a back-to-back last night. So I don't know if there's a little bit of like Joe wants to let these guys get their stats up in a game like this because there will be games where we can't or what.
I would say it's more just something like crazy, not their stats. It's more something like the body yearns for like
we need our execution to be
right. Yeah,
but the Heat of all the teams where it's like if anyone was gonna like injure some stupid injury in a meaningless game at that point, it's this fucking team, and I was just getting these like. Again, at least Tatum and White, like, get them out. I'm pretty sure we can take this one home with fucking basically any 5 guys who are in a uniform now. Everyone plays so well. We don't need these guys on the court. So, again, I feel like we haven't had that issue in a while. They've gotten much better about it. It used to drive me nuts. But also our bench used to not be able to hold the lead. So it was like, almost became like a chicken and the egg thing for a while. It was like we'd go up 25, put the bench in, they'd cut it to like 8. We have to put the starters back in. Those days are long past, but I was definitely getting a little bit of PTSD tonight when that clock was under 5 minutes. I'm like, what are these guys doing on the court still against these fucking devil magic team who would just love to twist an ankle or something shitty?
Sons of bitches. Yeah. No, yeah, I was wondering that too, but I'm kind of used to just Joe being a psycho like that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. One other thing too, they were talking about Pretty Ricky was sitting courtside. Now, did you know this Pretty Ricky, like I thought it was the singer that's saying like grind with me or whatever. It's actually a group, Pretty Ricky. So I don't think that's who was sitting courtside, but I remember they were talking about it and I go, how does Drew know who Pretty Ricky is? Because that seems a little old for Drew. And then I looked up Pretty Ricky and it said it's 4 people. So this has nothing to do with basketball, but it was just like a crazy. And when you talked about the stuff you were noticing in like the ad reads, I was like, oh yeah, what the fuck was up with Pretty Ricky? So I don't know if that's like a Celtics guy that I don't know about or something, but Pretty Ricky, the group.
Stars are out at the garden.
Good song.
Stars are out at the garden.
I don't know what star it was. I don't know if it couldn't have been the whole group.
Why not?
Because it was with Derek White, because they said Derek White just bumped into it. They go, oh, that's Pretty Ricky. And Drew's like, oh, I know who Pretty Ricky is. Like, how the fuck do you know who Pretty Ricky is? That song came out in like 2002.
Sounds like maybe he doesn't know who Pretty Ricky is at all.
Yeah,
just going along with, I know Pretty Ricky. There he is.
Either way. Cry With Me's a banger. That's all. I just brought that up just to say that.
Yeah. That's
all right, let's give out some Chuddy Chains.
All right. Who's up?
I think I'm up today, so this one's easy enough. I'm going back to back games. My back-to-back Chuddy Chains to Payton Pritchard for me. Like, we've already gone over enough of it, but just like absolute fucking big nuts, just gamer guy, like the best type of player that you could possibly. The all game, honestly, that's like what I was like basically talking about the entire game. Like, this guy is just like everything you'd want, like a player that you're rooting for on your team to be. Like, he's just so sick. The way he was chirping, the way he just always looks too, like he just got into like a fight. Like, he always looks like he has like a little like mark under his eye. Right, yeah. And he's coming out and like you should see the other guy.
Yeah.
So Pritchard, that's an easy slam dunk Chuddy Chain for Pritchard.
Yeah, can't really hate on that. I feel like there was a lot of guys putting in real Chuddy Chain like performances tonight.
This is the grinder game.
I could easily give it to Peterson, but I gave it to him last night, so I'm gonna give it to Luke Kornet. I mean, 6 blocks is just outrageous.
Tied his career high.
Again, no Al, no Porzingis, going up against Bam Adebayo, and I think Adebayo, I know he made his last 2 shots, but he was like 2 of 13 at one point shooting. And Kornet was looking like friggin', I don't know, vintage whoever protecting the rim down there. 6 blocks is no joke. I think they said the only other guys this year with a 6-block game is Wemby and Donovan Clingan, the obviously impressive rookie out of UConn for the Blazers. So
yeah.
Pretty good company, and when that's your third center, who again, these guys have taken Stay Ready crew to another level, and now it's like they just are always ready. And for Kornet to come in again against a team that used to give us problems, I remember not too long ago we'd get scared to play guys who we were like, oh shit, are they playable against the Heat? Like they're too good, they're too smart, they're too this, they're too that. They're not too anything for Luke Kornet, who was just swatting everything that was coming near him. He gets a well-earned Chuddy Chain from me tonight.
Yeah, he played 27 minutes. Tillman and Kada combined only played 25 and a half minutes. So, like, in a situation like you said where they were short on bigs, it wasn't even like he was evenly splitting the time. He was basically the guy out there for most of the game. So, yeah. 2 good Chuddy Chains. That would have been funny if we just gave the Chuddy Chains to the same people on back-to-back nights, but just switched 2 at first. But, yeah, the good game. A lot of Chuddy Chain worthy performances. All right. Probably don't have a whole lot. You got some things for around the NBA, or?
Yeah, just a couple of little things I jotted down.
Hold on. Let me pay the bills. Let me pay the bills first. I just wanted to make sure. Chuddy's shout out to the sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickperino.com for all of your real estate needs. That's Nick Perino, NickPerino.com. Nick Perino's got you covered. Everything big, small, local, statewide, worldwide, federal land. Well, not federal land. I'm just blurting out words now. But shout out to Nick Perino. Moving on to around the NBA. He's the best. What do you got for us? What's going on around the league? I see an unreal Payton Pritchard picture that just came up on my feed there of him like spiking the ball back in. It looks just like the Al Horford one. So holy shit, that's exciting.
That is exciting. I haven't seen that one, but that sounds fun.
Yeah.
So this happened a few days ago. I think we talked about it maybe in the chat off air, but somehow didn't mention it around the NBA. I think it was just during our long break. But Yusuf Nurkic, the big man from the Suns, is having a rough year. He might be a little bit washed at this point, but he had an interview the other night, and he was talking about like the fans getting down on him. And he made this comment where he's like, I know that like they expect me to play the KD role, but that's not me. And I just thought this was like one of the funniest quotes I've ever heard. I had to like listen to what I read it. I listened to it. I was like, wait a minute. Like there must be something out of context or they wrote it wrong. But like, no, that's what he said. So again, like to describe Nurkic to people who may not be as familiar with his game, I'm thinking like maybe like a little better version of like prime Aaron Baines without the 3-pointers. So like a solid player, but again,
I mean, he was your second pick in the draft of guys to be in a fight with, right? Yeah.
I just thought it was more like he basically plays the same spot. Like you would want him to go play the role that like Luke Kornet plays. So in other words, like nobody would ever possibly want him to play the role of Kevin Durant in any way, shape, or form. I would say ideally he
was he joking?
No, like I that's what I don't understand. Like, does he actually think that? Is he that delusional?
That'd be
like,
tough expectations.
Because, like, I can assure you, that's not what any Suns fan actually wants or is, like, holding him to at all. So, just a hilarious quote, beyond delusional and just, if that's his perception of himself or of his own fans, like, that's absolutely hilarious. But, yeah, just got a great laugh out of that quote. Didn't want that one to slide under the radar. One of the funnier quotes I've heard in a while. It would basically be like if Luke Kornet was struggling and he's like, I know everyone wants me to play the Jason Tatum role on this team. Like, that's kind of what I would compare it to. It's just like...
for the record, I would love if he played at least the Tatum role. In one, I said, once I saw that mixtape of him shooting all those threes, I'm like, where is that? Let's get that in the offense. Like,
yeah, I mean,
let him do it. Just like, imagine if it was just like for one game,
tonight's
they just let Luke Kornet do that. And he just told, and then it was like, and then they never spoke of it again. Like he never did it again. So you'd always just in the back of your head be like, is Kornet going to do that? And then it's just like, if you ask somebody, he'd be like, I don't really remember that game. Like just like, almost gaslight us all into thinking we didn't even see it or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be a hilarious move for Kornet. If he's listening, you should do that.
Yeah, no, well, I'm into that, I guess. But
That'd
if
be
the
great.
fans want Luke to do that, it's for a very different reason than whatever Nurkic that's thinking over there.
Yeah.
Great quote. Great quote.
Good quote.
Another moment, I feel like we've been talking about the Jazz and Will Hardy a lot lately. I don't know if you caught their game last night. Went down to the wire against the Lakers. They had the ball down by 1. They got the rebound off a miss with about 7 seconds left. Hardy didn't call a timeout. He let Sexton dribble it up over half court. Sexton kind of hesitated, then started to drive. Hardy called timeout. Basically, as Sexton was going up for a layup and finishing it, it went in.
Oh, I saw that.
Because they'd already called timeout, drew up a play with 2.5 seconds left or whatever, got it up basically a prayer, didn't go in, they lose. Sexton was clearly frustrated, would have won the game. And again, it's like, I think he had started to pull it out and when Hardy was calling it, so it was like watching it and hearing all sides, like I totally get it, but one of those things watching is just like, so frustrating.
Tough break.
If you're a Jazz fan, if you're Sexton, or if you hate the Lakers. I was a little annoyed, but it happens, and ultimately, as we've said, their goal at this point is to lose games, so I guess it helped in that regard. Beyond that, there's a list that came out. ESPN did a whole big list today, the top 25 under 25. So they ranked the best 25 players in the league under age 25, projecting for potential in the future. Did you look at the list?
I briefly scanned it and got angry thinking how Payton Pritchard wasn't on, and then I realized he's 26.
Yeah. So the Celtics don't even really have any case for
from
anyone
blind tweeting,
to
but
even be snubbed. But interesting list. Wembanyama number 1, Anthony Edwards number 2, Paolo number 3. I think Franz was 4, Chet was 5. Fun list. Houston Rockets, 4 players in the top 25. It's pretty crazy to see.
Good spot to be in.
Yeah, a lot of talent in the league. A lot of talent. So the fun list to look at there for sure. And yeah, I was trying to find a Celtics angle to get angry, but I don't know.
No, yeah, once I found...
Well, she got snubbed. I guess we could go with it if you want. But
yeah, the Shire.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even sure he was under 25. He's got to be very close, honestly.
It's a good point. Good point.
He's not a young one.
I need someone to check that.
Yeah, but yeah, nothing too crazy. Light slate tonight because tomorrow night the Celtics don't play, but it is a big night because it's the last night of NBA Cup group play. So we've got, as we kind of went over, Knicks Magic tomorrow night. We need the Magic to win, and then Bucks Pistons. We just need it to be a blowout. Either team wins by 7 or more, and the Magic win. The Celtics are in. So for a non-Celtics night, it's a big night. I was kind of wondering, like, how much. I don't know how much exactly different teams value different things. Because I was looking at it from, like, so if I'm the Magic, they have this plus 37 point differential. If they win tomorrow against the Knicks, they win their group and they play the wild card, which is us. So their first knockout game would be against the Celtics. If they lose, unless they lose by 40 points, they're still going to be the wild card and still make it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play whoever's the 1 seed, which I don't know, but it's not the Celtics, it's not the Cavs. So it's a better matchup. It would either be the Knicks.
Good point. Shit.
Be the Bucks or Pistons. But at the same time, like, the Magic are 3rd in the East right now, just ahead of the Knicks. I really don't think they're going to tank a game in the standings for a better draw in the NBA Cup. So, like I said, this is all still...
That's a good point. Yeah, actually. You got to go with the standings more important, I think.
I would think so. It's literally like they're in 3rd, the Knicks are in 4th, and it's pretty nip and tuck for, like, seeding. And I think those are 2 teams that think they'll be up there vying for top 4 seeds. So, again, I don't think that would happen, but it's just a lot to think of. Cup fever. It's exciting. So tomorrow night we can watch. I don't want to say completely stress-free because we obviously still want the trouble, but an interesting night of hoops where the Celtics aren't playing, but still kind of feels like we have a lot to root for. So, again, that's kind of exactly what the NBA was going for, us to be watching out-of-market games on a Tuesday night in November with some serious rooting interest. So, congratulations, Adam Silver.
Yeah. I just had one other thing that I saw, a video that I came across, and I think we could probably save the overall debate maybe for a less like exciting game. There's less to talk about afterwards, but I don't know if you saw Pierce I think he was on the Le Batard show, and he looks like, first of all, he just looks like so big. It's so funny. And he basically was saying that he thinks that the 08 Celtics versus this year's Celtics he obviously took the 08 Celtics to win. He said he'd break us down mentally. He said, I've been known to break a few wills, sent some of them from Cleveland down to Miami. Just an unreal quote by Paul Pierce. just like of how they would beat us to just break us down mentally is basically what he said. So, but that quote is just top tier. I've been known to break a few wills, sent some of them from Cleveland to Miami. Like,
Wow.
sent some of them. Obviously, just one guy that did that.
It was all
Multiple guys. Yeah, Kevin Love sent it down to Miami.
yeah. Everyone is that route, obviously.
Yeah. So that was just a great quote. But
wow.
we'll save that actual 08-24 debate for another time. But
yeah, I'll just say right now, if the coaches are involved, it's an absolute rout because, as people have pointed out recently, that Celtics championship from 08 should count as like 5 championships because they did it with Doc Rivers coaching.
Yeah. I saw someone too like quote that just saying like, I love the 08 team with all my heart, but like Tatum and Brown would just be pulling Perk out from the underneath
Perk
the basket would be a disaster.
No, Perk couldn't play. They'd have to go James Posey and Kornet at the 5 would be modern. I mean, Kornet can play the 5 in the modern.
All right, we'll save it. But that's
Perk's not seeing that. Perk's not seeing the floor.
Yeah. So Wednesday we have the Pistons coming up. I think they'll be playing off a back-to-back because they'll be playing the Bucks the night before in that Cup game.
And that's a must-win, as we've talked about. That Pistons-Bucks game is for that to win that group. So Cade has been out for a while. He's I think
they
upgraded.
Don't got Cade.
Yeah, but I think he's supposed to be back tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure
they got Cade.
And we'll see what's left of him on Wednesday night with the Celtics end up facing. But in general, as we've mentioned before, we already played them and said not the same Pistons as before. They're at least on the rise. They got a good collection of players. JB Becker's staff, talk about a coaching upgrade immediately. So they're a competitive team. I would, based on that, what I just saw, I would put their roster next to the Heat's roster. And, remove the names on the front of the jerseys.
Are dead.
Remove the names on the front of the jerseys and show those 2 rosters to people. Ask them which one's better. It's a conversation, at the very least.
I'd say leave the jerseys on. The Heat are dead. All right. We'll see everyone back here on Wednesday. Make sure you subscribe to the page. Follow us. Subscribe to us on our YouTube page, too. Check us out on Twitter at Chuddy's Corner. He's at King Chuddy. I'm at Doug_outs. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and take care. We'll see you again Wednesday.
Peace out, Chuddy Heads.